between the aliyot, the person should not talk. And he says that even if I want to tell, I want to speak with my neighbor, tell him a chidush about the aliyah, The Shulchan Aruch writes that you're not allowed. You're not allowed. And over there, the Mishnah Berurah explains one of the reasons is because you might get into a conversation, and then the next Oleh is going to come on. It's going to come up, and they're going to start reading the next Aliyah, and you're not going to be following the Aliyah. And the whole purpose of the Kriyat Torah is to have every single one of the Mitpalim to follow the Baal Koreh. Anyway, interesting halakha. Rabotai, there was a story about a famous story back then. I'm talking, I don't know, maybe 50 years ago. In Eretz Israel, there was, until today, they have a very famous yeshiva, one of the largest yeshivot in Eretz Israel. It's called Yeshivat Ponovich. Very big one. And there was a fellow that one day, not a religious guy, from a kibbutz, zero religious. He had to do something in the city of Bnei Brak, and he passed next to that yeshiva. Now the yeshiva is in a small mountain over there. He says, you know what? I hear all the time people complaining yeshiva. What's it? I want to see it. I never saw yeshiva in my life. He decided to go in. And it became such a famous story because at the second that he went in, he got attached and he never went back to his house. This fellow decided to stay in yeshiva, and he did teshuvah and everything. So one of the rabbis had all the time the question, what happened with this guy? Not only what happened, which merit the family had. His father, the father of this boy, you know what's a kibbutz? I don't have to tell you. But a kibbutz is eating chametz in Pesach, not regular in your house. Eating chametz in Pesach, it's a whole meal, inviting people over the kibbutz. Eating meat of bar minan, pig on Yom Kippur itself. It's the worst that you can imagine. So they asked him, what happened here? And he said that he had a grandfather. And his grandfather was a rabbi. But his grandfather, I think he couldn't make it after the war. He got killed. So then one of the rabbis in Bnei Brak said, sometimes you think that the prayers of somebody, it's not going to help. But the Gemara writes already that after the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, all the gates in heaven got closed, besides one gate. Which gate didn't get closed? The tears. Sharedim al oninalu. Says this grandfather cried, about his son. Listen, his son is going out and he's getting bar minan far from Torah and mitzvot. What do you think? The Borei Olam is taking those tears to the garbage? No. Maybe he's not answering it right now, but he's going to take those tears and he's going to answer to his grandson. Rabotai, tears is something very delicate. The Gemara writes that a person got to be very careful, especially when we're talking about marriage. A person got to be very careful not to make his wife, sad and to cause her to cry. He says, why not? Because a woman, she's very easy to get into that situation, to cry. It's very easy for her. So a person got to be extra careful, because every tear that she will take out from her eyes can bar minan bring a tragedy for the husband itself, if he calls it. And the Gemara says a story. The Gemara in Masechet Baba Metzia, the Gemara writes, in Ketubot, the Gemara says that there was a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Rehumi. And the Gemara writes that this Rabbi Rehumi, every time he was staying until a certain hour to learn Torah at night. He says that one time he was sitting and was Erev Yom Kippur. And he didn't even realize, that the time was flying. He was sitting and learning. And back then there was no cell phones and no nothing. And the wife was worried. 1 hour, 2 hours, the husband is not coming back. She goes outside There's no people outside to ask. She's worried. Says the Gemara. It's a Gemara, and Rabotai, stories in the Gemara, it's not just to tell me stories, to give me a message. The Gemara tells us that this woman cried, and at that same moment, the Rabbi was sitting in the second floor, right? At the first tear that his wife took out, came out of her eye, at that moment, the second floor of that aliyah, of that place where the Rabbi was sitting, fell, and Bar Minan, he broke up, I think it was his arm or something in his body. Says the Gemara, why you have to tell me this story? To tell you how powerful are every single one of us at the moment that he cries. You have no idea. You have no idea. That's at the moment that someone calls you to cry. Listen up what the Gemara writes. Says the Gemara, this week's parasha, Esav Rasha heard the berachot, heard what happened with his brother Yaakov, and how Yitzhak Avinu gave the berachot to Yaakov. Right? The pasuk says, "Vayizak zaka gedola umar'a." Esav heard that and he yelled. It says the Gemara, Esav at that moment cried, and he took out from his eyes 2.5 tears. What is these 2.5 tears? The Gemara goes inside. What are those tears? One from his right eye, one from his left eye, and one that was about to come out from both of the eyes. Says the Gemara, so what? Who cares how much? Let him cry. Says the Gemara, because those 2.5 tears, Esav had the power to destroy first Beit HaMikdash, second Beit HaMikdash, and to control Am Yisrael until the third. Unbelievable. Just because of what? Because when Esav cried, he didn't just cry for pain. He prayed. And Chachamim are teaching us that Sha'arei Dim'ah lo nin'anu, that the gates of tears can never close up. That means that even if a person doesn't deserve it, he's a Rasha. If he cries, doesn't matter which type of decree that person can have in his life, he can break it. What is the power of tears? But we don't imagine. There is a mashal. If you go out to the street and you see a fellow that is drunk, and he's acting, so disgusting in the street, you're gonna see this guy. So if he's a goy, who cares? Yalla, let him pass. What if he's a Yehudi? Someone tells you, this guy is Jewish. It's going to bother you? Maybe a little bit, Nah. Drunk guy, let him out. And what if the guy that you're walking and you pass by, you see that this guy is your neighbor? It's a regular guy. I know him from shul. Every day prays with us. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel bad. Not only are you going to feel bad, you're going to try maybe to help a little bit. What if this guy is a family member? Cousin? An uncle? I don't know. You're going to go even... And what if this guy is his son? His own son. All of a sudden you see his son, in the streets. Everybody's making fun of him. What the father's going to do? He's going to take his son, and if he needs to, he's going to also give him a smack in the face. And if he needs to, he's going to help him out, and he's going to give him to drink and to eat, and he's going to wash him, and he's going to do whatever his son needs. Because he's his son. Say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem. Guys, you are my son. Lo titgodedu v'lo tasimu korcha ben einechem lamet. Chachamim are telling us that if we understand that Borei Olam is our Father and He really looks at us like we are His children, how can a person give up on himself and to say, you know what, I have no chance. Listen how many averot I have done. Listen how many terrible things I did in my life. Even if the father is going to see his son in the worst level, What, he's not going to try to help him out? He's not going to do all the effort that he has to save him? Same thing with us. Sometimes the Yetzer Hara is coming to each one of us and he's telling us, you know what, it's like, forget about it. That's not for you. You have no chance to do this mitzvah. You have no chance to do this good deed. That's exactly the Yetzer Hara. To forget that we are the sons of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi, I just want to tell you, a few weeks ago, I was sitting with somebody over here in the second floor, and he was telling me, you know, Rabbi, I just took my kids out from Jewish school, and, you know, I sent them to public school, and so why you did that? He says, you know, it's a little bit expensive. Private school, it's not. And, you know, I heard that, you know, this school that I send, they have a very high level, more than the Jewish school one. So I told him, listen, I want to tell you something. And I told him, and I believe I shared that with you. I told him that when I was in South America, the president of the community, not in Panama, in another country, the president of the community came up to me and he told me, Rabbi, you have to do something. We're losing the young generation. They're all getting married to goyot. We don't know what to do. So I told him, I don't know any magics. I'm going to try to make my effort. But now he didn't tell me what was really going on. His mother called me up. Says, I have to sit down with you. We're sitting, and she just opened her mouth. She started to cry. Says, Rabbi, my son, the president of the community, you know, the most important guy in his own daughter is going out with the goy. We have no clue how to control it. I don't want to say the reason why this happened to this family. But Rabotai, here in the United States, we're losing every year, the percentage of intermarriage is growing. So I'm trying to live in a bubble. That doesn't apply to me. You know, I live in the Syrian community. I have my Syrian shul, my Syrian school. Doesn't apply to me. You know how many things we said that doesn't apply to me, and today we are dealing with it? Drugs. You remember that concept years ago? Drugs is for the goyim outside. Who cares about them? Oh, you heard about a Jew? These type of Jews that are going anyways to public school and they're part of the... And today we're dealing with it. Rabotai, intermarriage is something that if we don't put an emphasis and an effort today, in 50 years we're going to also cry. So what do you want me to do, Rabbi? What are you trying to say? The answer is that sometimes we cry, but we cry in the wrong moment. Sometimes this lady, if she was crying at the right moment, she wasn't crying afterwards. If at the really beginning when she had the option where to send the kids, which type of school, which type of education I'm gonna send my child? But it's much more expensive. But then maybe you're gonna cry later on, and guess what? You will have nothing to do with it. I want to tell you something. Yesterday, Mamash, one of the rabbis here, told me that he's have such a pain. His sister-in-law is married to a Jew. Both of them are not religious, totally disconnected. And her sister-in-law calls up his wife, her sister, and she tells her, listen, we want to come to Miami, we want to come and visit you, and our son also wants to come, you know, he got engaged, his girlfriend. I didn't know that, Mabruk. You didn't tell me. What's the family name, you know, of the... And she tried, you know, to avoid that question until she understood with a goya. She said, with a goya? She got upset at her. Why are you asking too many questions? Why are you getting involved so much? Rabotai, we're losing from our own hands, the people, just because we're not ready to put these things strict. If you see something, say something, right? If you see something, do something. If you see that somebody near you It's thinking about public schools. It's thinking about to send his child in not the right education. It's our obligation. We should not close our eyes, because then it's going to affect us. Say Chachamim, if we're going to cry at the right moment, any tefillah can break whatever it will be. Well, with this I'm finishing. I want to tell you the last story. There was a family. The Lo Aleinu V'Lo Alechem, one of the children went off the derech. He left Judaism, he left everything, and he went to live in another country. I'm saying in another country outside Israel, in Europe, and get totally lost. And the family cried and everything. One of the cousins came up, he had such a pain. He went to one of the rabbis and he says, Rabbi, I want to do something about it. I feel like I cannot do anything. He says, I want to tell you something. There is a special segula. At the time of the Amidah, when we say the beracha, Ashivenu avinu letoratecha, v'karevenu mankenu la'avodatecha, we're asking from Borei Olam to bring us closer to Him. It's written that if a person will cry at that moment, one tear will go out, and he will mention a name of somebody that is far, it's a segula that this Jew will come back to Torah and Yirat Shamayim. He says, you know what happened? He says, you know how how hard it is to cry? You think it's an automatic mode, I put it, let's cry now. Doesn't work like that. So it was very hard. First Amidah, no chance. Second Amidah, and I wanted to. One day he said, he heard that his cousin was getting really bad. Really bad. He was already dating somebody. Somebody not Jewish. He just heard that. He had such a pain. He was walking and then they told him, Tzaddik, you want to complete minyan, mincha? He said, I was so down, I didn't want to pray. And then I remembered. Maybe right now is the moment. He went inside. He praised Amidah of Mincha. He got to Ashivenu Avinu Letoratecha and he cried. Rabotai, it didn't pass few weeks. And this cousin of him came back. And Baruch Hashem today is much better. And you can ask yourself, well, what happened? Why all of a sudden? The answer is, Sha'arei dim'a lo ninalu. Don't block yourself. If you see something, do something. Make an effort. And you're going to see that throughout the effort, Borei Olam is going to give salvation. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.